Hey, it's Greg Milby, Kentucky's Heartland at kentuckysheartland.com, sharing these stories, people, and events powering the Heartland. I have two lovely ladies here with me. This is Emily.
Hi.
That's Ashley over there.
Hi, friends.
Ashley with the permanent smile, always there. So we're here to talk about a very unique thing here. Easter Sunday is like, I mean, come on, years ago,
Steeped
yeah.
in tradition.
I always
sure.
got a new tie and I look
Yes.
dapper for Easter Sunday, but we're trying to not necessarily change it, but freshen
Right.
some things up and give some local organizations some money in the thing. So let's talk about Forget the Frock.
Yeah.
So I know there's a national level
Yeah.
and there's a local level. So let's start on the national level, Emily. What exactly is Forget the
Sure.
Frock?
So, like you mentioned, Easter Sunday is kind of steeped in tradition, and not that those traditions are wrong, bad, or good. We are just kind of saying, I grew up in church where Easter Sunday morning was a big deal, right? And you put on the hats and the gloves and all that stuff. But then I married a pastor, and so that kind of up the ante.
Oh, yeah.
Real, a whole lot there. And so in 2010, our friends came to us and said they're going to adopt from Ethiopia. And that could just kind of wrecked our world. David Platt has a quote that says, it's easy to ignore the plight of the orphan until you know their name.
Yeah.
And so when our best friends adopted and they brought Teddy home, man, it really wrecked our world. And a lot of people will say, oh, well, why didn't you adopt? Well, that's not what God called me to do. God kind of walked our family through this thing where all of a sudden my husband's standing on stage on Easter Sunday morning in a tie and a suit that he would never, probably wear again, really kind of seemed frivolous and strange, and buying my girls all these dresses, because that's really not our vibe at our church at all. And so we just kind of went online and found an organization that we actually knew the founder, and they were selling t-shirts that fed a hungry child, and it just kind of seemed an easy thing. Let's just lay these fancy dresses down, let's pick up this t-shirt, and we thought it'd be a one-time thing. And we told some friends kind of what we were doing, and then it just exploded, not because of anything we did, but because I feel like God saw that and said, that's a way to honor, the kingdom. Mm-hmm. And, in his word, he says, James 1:27, to take care of the orphan and the widow, mm-hmm. and to not be corrupted by the world. Yeah. And so I think we can, it's just so simple and easy. And here we are, 10 years later, and almost $2 million raised for a host of different organizations. It's an easy way for folks to say, this is something I'm passionate about, and here's how I can share that message.
And things have changed, and I know, but Easter Sunday, it is a hustle bustle. People, you're getting everybody up, and if you're trying to get them all dressed, if they're not used to doing that, this simplifies the process.
For sure.
And let's just all be honest. We've all driven to church on a Sunday morning and kind of had that moment. And then when you get there, like, all right, everybody put your happy face on. We're going into church.
You will look like you love each other.
Yes, yeah. Straighten that tie up. I'm not doing it again when we get in there. So I really like this concept. And now the first year that we did it, we still dressed up, but we bought the shirts.
Yeah, sure.
And then I realized, you know what? I kind of like this gig. This is a sweet gig. So over $2 million have been raised.
Yes. So like I said, we started in 2011, and each year this kind of grows. And what the beautiful thing that we've seen it kind of do, and Ashley can speak to that, is we've seen churches embrace this on a local level, things that they're passionate about. Mm-hmm. Even my family, as the founders of this movement, do we purchase from our preferred partner, which is Feeding the Orphans? Sure, some of us do, but I have a little one with Down syndrome, and so Down syndrome awareness is a passion of ours, and so he typically wears a shirt that goes back to scholarship funds for Down syndrome students with Down syndrome, and so I think it's really cool to see the way churches are embracing it and the way that they are saying this is something that's important to us. And I think Grace Heartland is a beautiful example of that.
And what I think is crazy is how this is growing.
Yeah.
I mean, did you expect this
No,
back in 2010? You're like,
not
okay,
at
this is
all.
kind of our little deal, and now
Right.
it's really kind of blossoming and continuing to grow.
Right. Like at that point, my husband was in ministry in Campbellsville, and we thought we'd do it as a family. And then the next year it's like, okay, we'll do it as a church. And then God took us across the country to Arizona, and I had a girlfriend say, hey, I think that I'd like to handle your social media for you. Okay. And my husband was like, well, I already bought the website too. So when we turned that faucet on.
Smart move.
Right. Yeah. He's a pretty smart dude. But when we turned that faucet on, we realized there were so many people across the country specifically in the South, where we are kind of steeped in that tradition, that were craving something and they wanted to be a part of something. And not everyone can adopt, not everyone can go on a long-term mission trip. And this is a way, because we are very, very, very specific in the organizations that we partner with and the projects that they're doing, right? These shirts aren't just going to send Joe on a mission trip. These projects are going to impact families and children and orphanages, rescue traffic victims. It's specific in what they're doing. I think people can easily get behind that.
Right. So you're making tons of impact in different avenues. So Ashley, on a local level, let's talk about that. So let's just say somebody doesn't attend some of the churches that have participated in the past. Should they ask first before they do that? If you don't want to upset the apple cart in the church? Or...
Yeah, actually, if you are a part of a local church and you want to have your own thing, whatever that thing is, there is a place on the Forget the Frock website that you actually can put your information in and request to be an affiliate. So last year when we decided to do Forget the Frock for Mission Hope for Kids, we filled out that form and we got approved. So yeah, you definitely want to fill that form out to be an affiliate.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And the reason for that, sure, is not for us to be like, oh, you have to do X, Y, Z. It's for us to really kind of walk you through the foundation of the movement, why we hold these truths so dear. And then too, it's for us to celebrate, because we get to take all of that money that Grace Heartland was able to raise for Mission Hope and for Clarity this year, and we get to add that into our big total. Right. And when we celebrate, the week after Easter, we celebrate big. Yeah. And our people get to see, man, together, so many of us can do something. This one small act, when all of us get together, has huge impact.
I've always said that about ants. When you watch ants, how they move, one can't get all that done, but when you put them all together. And I love the fact that our community does that.
Oh, man.
Our churches work together, and it's all about making a difference, and I think it's absolutely fabulous. So, Ashley, if somebody wants to get the shirts, what do they need to do?
So there's like we talked about, there's global, which you can go to forgetthefrock.com and see those sponsored ministries. Feeding the Orphan is the primary one. But then on a local level, this year we are doing Mission Hope for Kids and Clarity. And you can go to Facebook or Forget the Frock. There's also an affiliate link there. And then we're going to give you the link on your website so we can people can order right there from Duke's. And the money is going to help Mission Hope for Kids and Clarity this year, which I'm super excited about.
Matter of fact, the link is on the screen right now underneath. You'll be able to see that, and
so
and you'll have it on there. Well, magic of these type of things that make them work. Is there a deadline to order T-shirts?
Yes. The deadline for the local ones for Mission Hope for Kids and Clarity is in 2 weeks.
Okay. And what's the price for the T-shirts?
The price is $12, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's not a bad
That's not bad at
price
all.
for a shirt anyway.
Mm-mm. No, it's not.
All right. So if other churches, how should somebody approach their church? If they're watching this video or if they've heard about it and they want to approach their church about participating, should they come to you first and kind of get some information to take it to the church? Because there are a lot of people that want to make a difference, and I think you don't want to necessarily just go in and kind of push the preacher's door down and say, this is what we're doing. So what do they need to do?
I would say, contact us and let's talk. Let us help you walk through the steps to become an affiliate. Let us help you brainstorm even
sure.
what
I think
that can
that's
look like.
One of the experiences that we've seen. I don't ever want someone to go to their church leadership and the church leadership kind of be like, oh, well, I don't know, and then get defeated. Because I can tell you time and again, that's happened before. And so usually it does start with a family who says, we're going to do this as a family this year. And then people at church are like, oh, well, that's cool. Tell me more about it. Or we're going to do this as a youth group. We've seen that time and again happen. And then ultimately the people embrace it. So don't get defeated if you go to your pastor and you're like, we have to do this. That's probably honestly what I would not recommend that.
Don't do that.
That's not a good thing.
And your pastor may be open to that, and you guys may be able to do that on a large scale in the very beginning. But also, it may not look like that. It may just look like your family choosing what you're passionate about first. Right. But certainly, if you talk to your pastor and you're on a church-wide level, we give you so many resources. We give you a promotional pack that has all of our logos and stuff on it, and you can kind of personalize that to be for your local campaign that you're running, or if it's easier for you to choose and to partner with us on a national level, we have that organization. Those deadlines aren't until the first week of April. And so, the first year that might be a little easier for you to say, okay, we're going to kind of partner with Feeding the Orphans because that's our preferred partner and we know where that money is going. So yeah, we totally equip those churches or those folks to be able to launch that campaign very easily at their church.
All right, so we're looking 5 years down the road. What do you expect from this? What's your goals? Because this wasn't anticipated in this video. We're doing a series. It's called Heart of the Heartland. It is people in our community that are making impacts all over the place, and we have a ton of people doing some really cool things in this community. And I really had no idea that this all was. I mean, it's like headquartered here. This is really, really cool. So where do you see it going in 5 years?
I'd love to tell you that I have this great business plan and it's on a whiteboard somewhere and we just mapped it all out. That's totally what I want as an Enneagram 3. I want to tell you I did that. The reality of it is we got no clue. Our little family did this and then it just grew exponentially. I try not to set goals for that because I feel like, God, this is your thing. And every year I bring that to him and I say, okay, seriously, Lord, like t-shirts, we're going to do it one more year. I feel like our community probably is like, well, there comes Emily. She's hustling those t-shirts again.
She's the t-shirt girl.
Yeah, here she is. Yeah. So I don't have a goal and a plan. What would I love to see? I think we're starting to see that. What would I love to see is that churches get passionate about something. And then they don't just say, hey, here's this thing that you can do, but they really come and embrace it. And I love going out in the community after Easter, not Easter Sunday, after Easter, and seeing shirts and people sharing the messages of what their shirt is doing. I've been in airports in New York City. I've been in airports in Las Vegas, and I've seen Forget the Frock shirts. Honestly, it was a little challenging for me to move back to Kentucky because I felt awkward when I would see people in church, and I'm like, do I say something? Do I thank them?
Do you? When you're at the airport, you're in New York, and you're like, I did that.
No.
You don't do that?
No.
Because they're like, oh, there's another one of those.
Right. Yeah. But I love seeing people become passionate about something. And so if I had to say, what's the goal? Is that we go back to James 1:27 and we say, care for the orphan and the widow in their distress. And then we take our passions and we do something with it.
There you go, making a difference. So what are we looking for clarity and for Mission Hope? What's our goals there?
Last year we sold right at about 500 t-shirts, and I would love to sell 750 t-shirts this year. I really would.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
good target.
That's kind of my goal. So let's sell them. Let's buy them.
Forget the Frock. Deadline again is
in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Get those orders in. Yeah, so we can support
magically
these
at the bottom of the screen. There you go. Look at that. You're hired. We'll take you. You do it a lot better at that than I do. All right. She is Ashley. This is Emily. And Forget the Frock. Make sure you get all that information. And again, the information is there and at Kentucky'sHeartland.com. I just think it's a really cool thing. Just one of the things that keeps this community just moving along and making a difference. It is the Heartland. I'm Greg Milby, Community Storyteller, and this is Kentucky's Heartland.